Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. I'm not going to have videos the next 2 days as I will be indisposed, but I will have text discussions, of course, and written discussions available on this upcoming interesting weather pattern with a definite tropical dynamic to this whole setup. So I figured today I would do a premium public video to just basically lay the groundwork of what we can expect. And of course, premium members, as always, could drop me any emails and ask me any questions about how this is going to impact their plans. And of course, we'll have technical discussions in the premium dashboard. Touching on the tropics real fast, very quiet over the next 7 days, possibly over through the rest of this month. We could see a pickup in tropical activity as we head towards the last week of July and into early August. We'll have to see how that evolves. But for right now that Barrow's gone, it is very quiet out there. So that's certainly some good news. What is not good news is the conditions here in the northern mid-Atlantic, where you have temperatures already pushing into the upper 70s to lower 80s, a few mid-70s where we have some fog right along the coast. Along the Jersey Shore, once again, we have some morning fog, and around Long Island, we have fog below a half a mile in many locations. And this is all because you have all of this tropical air sitting over the region, interacting with the cooler Atlantic Ocean. And so you get a lot of development of low clouds, and that really continues on through the late morning hours, eventually starts to break up towards the late afternoon hours as we get enough mixing in the atmosphere. But this is going to be a theme as long as this pattern is in place. Meanwhile, a little bit further inland, we had some fog in some of our valleys, but not nearly as bad. Visibility around 6 to 7 miles. Everywhere else, it is just muggy and disgusting. When you start off your day in the upper 70s and your dew points are in the mid 70s, you know it's going to be a rough day when it comes to our heat index. So in this situation, when you have temperatures pushing into the upper 80s to mid 90s, you're going to have a heat index pushing over 100 degrees in many locations. And here's why this is dangerous, is because this heat can sneak up on you. And because of all the high levels of humidity, when you're sweating, you're not getting as much relief. So as a result, you're losing a lot of water because you're sweating a lot. And you can easily get dehydrated. You can get heat sickness very easily. And it's not a good situation. And if you're elderly or if you're a child, that can happen much faster. So yes, it can be deadly. It can be a serious problem. So just be aware of that. Keep an eye on not only yourself, but on those who are children and those who are elderly, as they can be impacted by this significantly. And if you don't have air conditioning, definitely find a cool center, or heck, even go to the mall, walk around, visit the crazy shops there. But the cool thing is that, well, it's cool. You have air conditioning. So I would suggest trying to find a cool spot if you can. When we take a look at our latest radar and surface map from WeatherTab, you can see here our stationary front, and this is going to continue to be a theme. This back here, what is this? This is the remnants of Beryl. It's gone. It is now what we call an extratropical low pressure system. All the heavier precipitation associated with it is all lifting up into St. Lawrence River Valley. So any heavy rainfall that we start to develop as we move towards the end of this week has nothing to do directly with Beryl. But there's a little bit of somewhat of an influence. You see this cold front here? This is basically what's left of Beryl and some of the dry air associated with it that killed the system as it was moving through the Mississippi River Valley. This feature is going to try to attempt to move through the region. I'm going to say try. It's going to fail. But that process is going to lead to the potential for some pretty significant rainfall. So when we take a look at our water vapor satellite picture, I want to kind of set up exactly what we're dealing with here. We have our Western Atlantic Ridge, which we knew it was going to be a major feature. We said all the way back in the spring, this is going to be a humid summer. And boy, has that worked out, unfortunately. So you can see the tropical moisture surging northward. There's what's left of barrel, and there's that dry air I was talking about. When you have substance and sinking air and dry air, it looks like this in a water vapor satellite picture. So you have this setup right here, and you have the interaction getting ready, and the moisture gradient setting up. Not so much a thermal gradient, not a lot of change at 850 millibars in terms of temperatures, but in terms of the dry air, that's where you see the difference. So you see this setup already taking place here. So this is going to try and push east while the Western Atlantic Ridge tries to push back. You can see on the infrared satellite picture, your strongest lifting today is all lifting up towards the St. Lawrence River Valley. Have to watch out for some severe weather, possibly around, let's say, Syracuse and central New York, around the Mohawk River Valley. Could be some nasty severe thunderstorms because you have some enhanced vertical wind shear with all this moisture and these gradients interacting. But for us, we remain in this tropical air mass. And what that means, when we take a look at the visible satellite picture, is there's our low clouds and a lot of mix of sun clouds, and you're going to see these low clouds out here in the valleys here are going to burn and mix off as the sun gets higher and our temperatures continue to rise and more mixing occurs in the atmosphere. A little bit slower along the coast where we have that more of a stable influence because of the Atlantic Ocean. But you can see once you get away from the tropical air mass out here towards the Atlantic, central Atlantic here, well, not central, but further out in the coastal waters, you can see those clouds really break up. So this is all because of that interaction between the humid air on the coastal plain and the cooler ocean water along the coast. And unfortunately, that's not disappearing anytime soon. That's going to be a theme as we move forward. So when we take a look at our winds, let's start looking at 250 millibars. And you can see here, the upper level winds continue to support this transport of moisture coming in from the tropics right into our neck of the woods at 250 millibars, at 500 millibars. Very nice development of the Western Atlantic Ridge. There's our trough lifting northward. See how this is in the negative tilt and that divergence and diffluence. That's what's going to open up the potential for severe weather around here. Not so much us, but definitely around the eastern Great Lakes, unfortunately. 700 millibars, same transport coming from the south. 850 millibars. How about the surface? So what I'm trying to show you here is that the winds at every level of the atmosphere, from the highest down to the lowest. In fact, you have to go all the way up to 70 millibars, which is the stratosphere, to lose this influence. So what that tells us is that we have moisture transport at all levels of the atmosphere coming in from the tropics. So this is a deep tropical moisture transport. And so when you have this amount of moisture in the atmosphere, this leads to not only obviously humid conditions and a high heat index, but also the potential for some impressive thunderstorms. And so I wanted to show a skewed T-chart from Tropical Tidbits. This is the HRR model guidance over central New Jersey. And you can see right now where we have our low clouds. This is a inversion up back here. So we're seeing this inversion setting up, which leads to our low clouds at around 900 millibars or so. And as our temperatures rise, that inversion disappears, and what you end up with is a conditionally unstable environment with a lot of moisture and then some drier air at the mid-levels. So what this introduces when you have precipitable water values up to about 1.97 inches, almost 2 inches, and you have all this moisture at the surface, is that when it gets lifted into this drier air here, it opens up the potential for thunderstorms capable of intense heavy downpours and strong downburst wind gusts, because what happens is that moisture gets transported in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, condenses, cools, and rapidly sinks back towards the surface. And so when you have that setup, it leads to those downburst wind gusts that can easily exceed 15 miles per hour. But one of our primary concerns here is that with the winds all aligning in the same direction, and they're relatively weak overall, you're going to open up the potential for what we call training of showers and thunderstorms. And so when we look at this pattern, There is the remnants of Beryl lifting up into the St. Lawrence River Valley, and we have this little weak PVA hanging around the region. And then we have this other feature interacting with the trough that is left over from Beryl. And you can see that feature right here. And so the combination of those two features is going to lead to enhanced lifting, while our Western Atlantic Ridge remains pretty much locked in. So you have just enough lifting along a stationary boundary with moisture transport continuing. And you can see that here at 850 millibars, those winds continuing to support the transport of that deep moisture. And that continues to enhance itself to the point where you have precipitable water values easily exceeding over 2 inches. And you end up with this gradient on Friday night. Now, what my concern is that you'll get waves of showers and thunderstorms setting up here, with the potential of tapping into all this moisture, producing intense rainfall rates, and just enough instability to produce some elevated thunderstorms. So I'm not looking at this in terms of severe thunderstorms, although I can't rule out an isolated one or two, but I'm concerned about, especially with the dry conditions that have been in place and the ability for the topsoil to take in this water, is the potential for some localized flash flooding here with some of these thunderstorms in this setup. And you can see this just continues on into Saturday. Not much has really changed. Sunday, same scenario here. So I'm concerned about the potential here, especially on Friday night into Saturday, where we have that deep tropical moisture and you have the lifting combined to produce some localized flash flooding. And what we're going to need to do is take a look at more mesoscale guidance as it comes in. In fact, this is the NAM model guidance. You never want to make a forecast decision based on the later hours of the NAM guidance, but what I am going to do here is show you what the potential is. And what the potential is, and this is lining up nicely with what we're seeing on the European, which is a synoptic model, and the GFS for that matter, is that you're getting these waves of showers and thunderstorms. Now, it's not a solid area of rain, but you get this same scattered showers and thunderstorms popping up over the same region, and you can end up with some pretty good flash flooding potential. So this is something that we're definitely going to have to watch and keep an eye on with these individual thunderstorms. They could produce rainfall rates easily pushing over an inch per hour, and that could lead to the potential for flooding, with the best potential looking like right now, Friday evening into Saturday morning. And of course, we'll continue to update that and fine-tune that thinking in terms of the timing as we get closer to this potential event. The reason why we're concerned about this is that, look, if you're not prepared for it and you drive out into this weather, I'm not saying stay home, but at the very least be prepared and give yourself some extra time if you are traveling in these conditions on Friday evening. So, diving into this forecast for today. Hazy, hot, and humid, threat for a few isolated showers and thunderstorms. Look for high temperatures in the lower to mid 80s over Long Island, upper 80s to lower 90s along the coast and in the interior, mid 90s in the Delaware River Valley with a heat index pushing over 100 degrees. For tonight into tomorrow morning, look for overcast cloud cover, low clouds, some isolated showers here and there with low temperatures ranging from the upper 60s to lower 70s over the interior, mid to upper 70s along the coast. We could have an isolated thunderstorm or two as well. We'll keep an eye on that. For tomorrow afternoon, hazy, hot, and humid with the threat for thunderstorms once again. Look for low temperatures in the upper 60s to lower 70s over the northern interior, mid to upper 70s along the coast. Look for high temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 80s on Long Island, upper 80s to lower 90s along the coast, lower to mid 90s in the Delaware River Valley, and mid to upper 80s over the interior. On Friday, rinse and repeat once again, scattered showers and thunderstorms, hot and humid, A bit cooler because of more increasing cloud cover, with low temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s in your suburbs, and lower to mid 70s in your urban areas. High temperatures in the upper 70s to lower 80s. Now, if these thunderstorms are not as widespread and the cloud cover isn't as widespread, then we're talking about temperatures jumping up into the mid 80s to lower 90s. So we'll keep an eye on that. On Saturday, more scattered showers and thunderstorms, continued humid, continued uncomfortable, with low temperatures in the lower to mid 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast, high temperatures in the lower to mid 80s on Long Island, mid to upper 80s everywhere else. On Sunday, scattered cloud cover with just an isolated threat for a shower or thunderstorm. Look for low temperatures in the mid to upper 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast, and high temperatures ranging from the upper 80s to lower 90s along the coast and lower to mid 90s everywhere else. On Monday, a cold front will approach the region with scattered showers and thunderstorms. I say approach because they'll fail to move through once again, with low temperatures in the lower to mid 70s and high temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 80s on Long Island, upper 80s to lower 90s along the coast and over the interior, lower to mid 90s in the Delaware River Valley. On Tuesday, that frontal boundary stalls out over the region with variable cloud cover, muggy conditions, and the threat for a few isolated showers and thunderstorms. Look for low temperatures in the lower to mid 70s, high temperatures in the upper 80s to lower 90s on Long Island, mid to upper 90s everywhere else, and very uncomfortable conditions over the northern interior. Upper 80s to lower 90s can be expected. On Wednesday, the frontal boundary again stalls out over the region with scattered to broken cloud cover and a threat for a few isolated showers and thunderstorms. Bear shot for possibly more widespread thunderstorms in the evening with a secondary cold front approaching. Look for low temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 70s over the northern interior, mid to upper 70s along the coast, and high temperatures ranging from the upper 80s to lower 90s over the interior, lower to mid 90s along the coast, and mid to upper 90s in the Delaware River Valley. That's your forecast discussion for today. Have a wonderful day, and as always, stay safe out there.